Hello everyone, welcome to another development session. Today I'd like to add a new capability to the Gefyra library client part, basically, that a user is able to just choose a workload in Kubernetes and runs it on their machine to basically set up a development environment for that service really quickly. And we should have all the capabilities already there, and it's basically a more higher level API function within the existing code base. So let's see. Got a fresh coffee here, which is nice. So let's go to the main branch and update it. And yeah, well, basically it's a new API function. So there's actually an issue for that. I think Michael opened it. Here, someone call it reflect or mirror, but names do not really play a role. But basically what we want exactly is fetching the information of a pod, set up the local container based on that information and copy the environment, and then set up a bridge if we want to. Yeah, it's not automatically. Yeah, it's an additional option for that. Exactly. So I would say let's go. How hard can it be actually? So let's just call it reflect. I don't really mind reflect. So I guess the first thing we need is here the client configuration, which usually is the default configuration. How do we actually write that? Usually, something like this. Exactly. There should be an import for that, I guess. Exactly. So let's use that. So what do we actually need? We need the name of a workload. So let's call that workload, which is a string. And we don't have a default value. This definitely needs to be filled. And we may want to bridge, which is a bool, which defaults to false, so we don't bridge by default. Is that? Oh, I missed the comma. So maybe we want to insert new environment variables. This is probably something like a dictionary or something. Or it's actually an iterable. Let's do something like this, but I think the run function should actually have that. Env, which is a list. So this is basically the same. Perfect. Yes. Anything else we need? port information should actually be fetched from the pod. Could be that so the port mapping, I'm not really sure about it. Should we when we automatically copy it from the pod, it could be that it's just occupied on the local machine and then there's no way to actually run it. So we kind of need the possibility for the user to change that. Maybe we can think about this later, but we definitely need to get that port mapping to do when occupied, in case it's occupied. Right. So first thing we need to do is basically get the workload and extract the information from it to actually execute the run function. So from gefyra.api.run import run. Basically what we want to do is run. Alright. So we need the command could be overwritten. Yeah, this would be kind of nice to have that too. Command. So we gotta have a name. We don't have a name. Should it just be automatically generated? I think that would be nice. Let's see. So we got the command, which is basically just the command. Oh yeah, we need the volumes. To remove. It's basically when it's so I think we just can add this. Auto remove basically means the container will be removed when it's auto removes false actually. When it's exited, when the container exits, it will be removed. This is kind of like a more optional thing actually. What else? Namespace. Do we need the namespace? Or do we put it just in the workload? Yeah, it should be like a separate parameter, I guess. So namespace like this. Or actually these need to be set. Anything else? So the parts. I will have to think about that. Not sure right now how to do that. Okay, let's add these things. Namespace equals namespace. Yeah. So, and from should basically be the workload, and should be in. This kind of should be the run function. We need to kind of always detach to enable the bridge here. So detach is always true. If bridge, to do bridge. So, well, the detach may not be necessary if we don't bridge, but for now I think it's just like an okay default to do that. And the thought is kind of like you do something like Gefyra reflect namespace workload volume mount, and then you have like your development environment set up. I'm just thinking, is it really so much different from what we're currently doing in the Docker desktop extension? Like, let's have a look. So we have this. This basically needs to work. Now we have the namespace. Let's use the default namespace. And well, yeah, I kind of have to have the front end here. Why is there actually no? There's the back end, but it's like there's no back end there. I don't understand. But doesn't matter for now. Let's go with the front end. Okay, well, I have to kind of copy the part mappings that could be filled automatically. Yeah, it's kind of similar, just thinking about it. Except I don't really have to take care much of the container image and stuff. So I also could actually like mount a separate file into it just to check for changes. Okay. So if this is reflect, it's like a super thin wrapper around bridge. And the name, actually, I think it can be just like generated from the workload. So basically what we could do is something like Gefyra reflect, and then we do like the workload name here. Workload. And maybe even like namespace / workload. And the workload has to be something like deploy my deployment. So kind of have that. So let's get the information from the cluster. So we got like the cube. Get workload type. These are the tests, but this is retrieve pod and container. So what do we want to know actually? Like what information do we need for this thing to work? So running it locally, we need to extract the command if it's not overwritten. The end from does its job. I actually just need to extract the command if I'm not wrong. So if not command, let's command equals retrieve command namespace workload config. That sounds reasonable. Let's do that. Okay. So what we basically do, workloads. Get pods and containers for workload. Config names, namespace workload type. And what it does, it returns a pod name with its container and the container spec. That kind of should work anyways. So let's see, this is used. Retrieve pod and container. You can just use that. And we kind of have to, we can just rename that to like workload. Name raw. Workload type name. So something like that. And now we can just like work with that, I guess. So we basically do retrieve the workload. This is namespace, config is config. Pod container map. And now we just like take the first best item, I guess. So what does it like returns? It returns like a pod name and a container name, string. Oh, we have an issue here with the return type somewhere. But so these are the pods. So actually it's like the pod mapping, right? Yeah, we can kind of refactor this. Def get pods, which is basically this, right? Could not find for workload type name. Can just like so just like this, and this is like super nicely refactored, and we can just like move the import here. Oops. Perfect. And now the container name, like it's pods. So basically we need this here. But we also want to have the container name. Let's try something like that. Split workload type name. Workload type name is a string. Workload type, yeah, perfect. That looks good. So basically what we want to do now is this. And remove this. Split name, workload type name. So the container name is actually never needed here, but that's okay. Oh well, just need the whole thing. So these are never needed. So what we have now is if container name yeah, perfect. This should work. And what we can do now is like we just call the getPods function here. It should be a bit more pleasant to work with. So there could be multiple pods in there. Like what does it actually This is pods, and this returns kind of a, I think, yeah, it's a dictionary string and a list of strings. So we want to basically get the command. Oh, but it's not the actual pod, right? Shit. This doesn't work. Because it's not the pod object we get here. It's already like simplified into, yeah, list namespace pod. This is already simplified. How do we do that actually in the like end from? So let's check that. Get end from pod container. So, well, this is like super straightforward. If there's an exception, just like don't work with it. So let's do something similar, because like the return response, so what we have here basically is like a workload. Oh, and we need the like the pod. Yeah, get pods back. And what we do now is read namespace pod name. Yeah, more or less. Let's try that. Except this does not exist. This kind of should be like a pod. Return pod. And this basically returns like a v1 pod object. Yeah, maybe it doesn't matter really too much. So let's go here. We add the RP exception import, and we get like the pod. And I think pod dot. There's something. It's not too strictly typed, I guess. So the v1 pod object, it's here. Okay, has the spec, and we kind of want the containers probably, and container command, which is a list of strings. So what we can do, we don't need the container name here actually, but def get container command, which basically has the same signature. Pod equals get pods back container Exactly, container not found. This looks nice, even though I'm not completely sure. So this could be kind of optional if we just like work with the like first. If container name and we kind of like do something or not container name and we just want to work with the first. Yeah, this is probably just like needed if we actually want like, the container name is actually given. If not, oh, this is just like else. Return the first command, and this is a list of strings. If I, yeah, so we basically what we can do here is we do something like we join it just like with this. I guess, I'm not sure, but I think this should be fine. So what we have now is we have just like a method to extract the command of a container, which is nice. And I kind of refactored all this for nothing. So let's undo this. And yeah, well, let's see. Do something like, yeah, get container command. Not sure, what do we have, like config pod name namespace container name. So this is like config pod name container name equals pod name container name namespace. Something like this. Yeah, let's make it more explicit. So this basically is how the command should be retrieved. And now we have the end from thing, get pods and containers. So basically now we can like reuse that, retrieve pod and container. As is workload. Oh, is there like a end from namespace config? Okay, namespace config. Yeah, let's leave it just like this. So this should be it. Right. Okay, we're working with the Docker desktop. Is there any reason why this should not work? Let's just use that and let's go. Oh well, yeah. Well, I have to the parser. Any thing here. So let's make this like super simple. Like this would be like the most basic version probably. I think this will probably not work, right? Because like, what did it do? Oh, is like the init module importing that? Actually not. Cool. So I think this is just like wrong. What is it? Yeah, this is just like straight out wrong. Nah. Is it imported like here? Oh yeah. Let's do it like this. And then we have like the reflect function, which is like a workload, which is args.workload. I think that should be it. Well, the namespace is like not given. Could just like fall back to default probably. Okay, that didn't work. Cannot import name get pods, so there's like an old import somewhere, I guess. Yeah, this is totally shit. Also this. Yeah, of course. There was an error, can only join an iterable. So I guess the command is now not an iterable when we like get contain do this. So which is weird because like it says this is a list of strings. So let's probably it should be here. Let's just like debug block this. Is it there, or is it just not printing? It's the JavaScript stuff. Oh, it's the upper Print container name. So probably we don't even need this, because container name is never, it's always like given through the previous function. None. Which basically means if container.command is like an optional, otherwise just return empty string. Run is missing. Oh, we forgot to extract the image. Shame on me. Okay. So let's rework this and do something like pod spec. This is like a v1 pod. Kind of like this, actually. Now we can just remove this. Yeah, well, we need the container name anyway. Right. I like this pod spec. Pod. Just do something like this. And like we have the container name could not be found for pod dot. Is it name? Like what's the pod spec? Does it have like a it has like a metadata dot name. So like, but also like just thinking of it, this should be probably like the spec then, right? So pod spec. Oh yeah, that's already thought of. And namespace. Do we know the namespace actually? Like through the namespace? Yeah. Oh, we just leave it like this. Yeah, should be okay. And what we can do now is we can kind of assemble these, and we can also do something like get container image, and then we could actually like get container property, but we would probably like the join thing is different. Yeah, it doesn't make too much sense actually, so let's do something like this. Return container.image. Else there's runtime error. Let's do something like this. Container image could not be determined which would be kind of weird. This should actually never happen, but yeah, you know how it is. So let's work with that, and what we do now is pods equals get, how did I call it, pod spec, which is not really right. So let's call it get v1 pod, save, get v1 pod, config button namespace. Is that right? Yeah. And what we do now, kind of, is we use the get container command, and we kind of have to rewrite this pod and container name. Image equals get container image pod container name. Let's import that. And let's add the image here. There was an error, there's no cargo. Oh, we don't have like the cargo running? No. So let's do Gefyra up. There's the operator, there's the cargo. Nice, let's reflect. Invalid container name. Oh, we got like the slashes in there. Which is not cool. Replace. Oh, yeah, Codex is so smart. Container image started with name, default, pod frontend, and Kubernetes. It's there. Oh my god, it's there. Oh well, I think. No. It's like not exposed really. Yeah, I think this is just like the issue of the container specification. So what we could do now is we just expose the ports by default. So what we could do here is like expose ports. Okay, short break now. Need to get some water. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So let's try to just expose the ports that are available. So basically what we need to do is if we have this flag set, expose ports. Kind of something like this. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is entirely correct. The object made spec container, and let's check ports. So this is number pods container part, host part. Oh, which is nice. We can just like iterate over this and use it. So this returns just like a list of the part specs, which is actually cool. And we kind of have to so let's just like use that as like empty parts for part in parts. Container parts. I'm not sure if this is like the right notation actually. I think we have like something like a part mapping parser. Yeah. I believe, not completely sure, should be the other way around, host part, container port. And then we just like pass the parts here. Part, of course. And now we add it to this as a flag. Exposes parts from container spec, Kubernetes container spec to host. Yeah, somewhat like this. And let's go with the reflect parser. Okay. Do I call it like this? Yeah. Required false, default true. So let's just like remove this one. Oops. And let's run it again. There was an error, invalid part specification. Okay, yeah, this doesn't sound like what we want. Oh, I guess so. I guess the front end pod actually doesn't have like, does it? Cube control describe front end. Host part 0, part 5003. Last state terminated, what? Part 5000. Why is there, like, I don't completely understand. So let's print container parts, whatever this means. Container port, host IP, host port is none. Okay. Host port, if not port, host port, container port. Let's do something like this. Cannot access local variable. If not host port. And Kubernetes themes fault. Let's see. Oh, this looks good. Not found, okay. Not found is generally okay, and there's like an internal server error. Let's see what's actually happening in this Docker. So let's open that up a bit more. Docker logs. Oh. It's trying to connect to the backend. And it doesn't work. It's not able to resolve the connection. So good thing is actually the environment variable was copied from the front end pod, so that works. But it's not able to kind of access the backend, which kind of surprises me, to be honest. So I think it's not exposed here. Which is generally okay. However, it's not able to connect there. What's the issue? Has been started. We have the front end, we have Flask running. Is there an issue with the This looks weird. Or is there no output? What's the... whatever. Let's just restart the whole thing. Not sure what's wrong with my backend pod. Oh, there. Okay, something was wrong. Probably from stopping and restarting the Docker desktop Kubernetes cluster, I guess. No idea why, but this now works. So So it should be kind of like gone now. It's gone. And we start it. And it should be, yeah, it's there. Okay, reflect works. It's kind of similar to what the local host people did with, I think they called it, yeah, duplicate. So basically you choose a workload, start it as a duplicate. However, they are running the workloads in the Kubernetes cluster, and I'm not sure how, but somewhat they are doing like a file sync, which is what we are doing with the volume mount and the local container, which is probably a bit more easy to handle, the local container, but yeah. Also, they are kind of changing the workloads in the cluster, which we try to minimize as much as possible. And this is kind of a hassle when you want to restore a cluster to its original state. For us, it's kind of easy because we just deleted the Gefyra namespace and roll back the changes of the image field, which is super easy since it's just one change to a workload when we have a bridge. For runs, there are even no changes to the workloads that are running in the cluster, which is kind of nice. So basically, with the reflect, we can now actually implement that for the Docker desktop thing. So we could basically add another button, reflect, which lets you choose your kubeconfig, your context in your workload with a namespace. And if you want to set more, it's kind of like advanced settings, but everything else should be like set automatically. And oh well, yeah, it even shows up here because it's like labeled, which is nice. So now it could be just like bridged, which that is cool. So everything else from here should be rather simple, I guess. So we need to think about if we want to like expose other parts. However, what we basically should not allow is like open any random parts which are not like available for the container anyways. So this needs probably some more thought. Also like adding more environment variables, which is also kind of a problem. No, it isn't. I was just thinking the wrong thing here. But the volumes would be nice, so we probably, do we have like a volume parser? No, it's just like this. Just copy that for the reflect. Now we have that. We got the volumes. Not sure if I expose the auto remove right now. Should just be fine for now. Yeah, the command, if we really want to override it. So that should be a thing here. I can just like copy that as well. So let's add those here. Yeah, the namespace is a thing also. So shouldn't forget that one. These both actually. My bad. Like this. I'm kind of happy since this reuses lots of code we already wrote. So basically it's just like parsing those information. Should make it more simple. So the bridge is still to be implemented, of course. This we have. Leave it like this. So bridge and parts, these are kind of things we have to think about. But this should work for now. Let's open a new branch. What's the number of the issue? 150. All right. Stage those changes. Wait. Show work in progress. Reflection. Okay, we need to add tests as well as the bridge thing. So what do we need for the bridge actually? Let's see if it should be. Oh yeah. Let's just call that do bridge and kind of change that. It's not. I haven't implemented it anyway, right? So we have do bridge. Let's do it just like this for now. Bridge. What just happened? I just want to, import bridge. So this is kind of a name, which is nice. Okay, namespace, config, target pod. Which is basically the pod name, I guess, right? Target, it's just target. These codex suggestions don't work probably. Sync the handle probes timeout parts. So for the parts, I believe we could just like reuse that. And it should already work. Yeah, that would be crazy. Let's just try that. That was kind of too simple. I think something will probably go wrong. So we need like a Boolean parser like this. We call it rich workload required false, default false. Right, and then we go here and we have arch.bridge. Just to be sure, let's remove the front end thing. And let's basically just reflect the backend. There was an required parameter namespace. Okay, what's the matter here? Is it running? No. No, it's not even here. It's not even there. But then, so the backend is there. Missing the required parameter namespace. It's like this is empty here. Okay, seems like it's happening there. Wait, okay. Kind of have to. That works. And we have that. It's running. Not sure if it's bridged really. Let's check if the what the Docker desktop extension tells us. So it says it's not bridged, but that could be kind of some incompatibility from what we built here. Well, it says it's bridged. No. List. Okay, this looks like it's somewhat of an old bridge, which could conflict with what we have here. Not completely sure what happened. Oh, I didn't add the bridge flag. Oh my god. Expected one argument? What? To have like a bridge. Oh, it's probably not the way to do it. Do we have like a detach store true? I think we need something like this. Argument bridge action store true, and probably the same for the expose store false. Too many values to not enough values to unpack. Okay, this looks like the container has been started, right? Now it's there. Cool. What's the matter now? Expected 2, got 1. This kind of sounds like bridge needs something from us. Oh well, it could be that the parts mapping doesn't work here as expected. Oh, I think it just needs a different format, because rich parts. It's also a dictionary, but what it does is it's like a key value. Well, that should be fine. Let's run that with debug. It's from bridge, workload type, workload name. Here. So the target actually, it expects workload type, workload name. What's the matter here? Is the target, oh, it's just the pod name. Workload. Actually, we should, yeah. Well, isn't that convenient? It's running. There's another bridge now. This looks like it's working. Okay. Gefyra Docker Desktop confirms kind of that this is a bridge. We are missing the volume mount to check whether that actually works. But that should be kind of simple to add to the parameter list. So let's do unbridge. It's removing. Yeah, let's stop the container first. Stop, remove, and let's debug. Let's add like a volume. Oops. Which is users. Can I just like not sure if I can use relative paths here and if it's translating. Robert projects Gefyra demos KCD backend 2/app. I think that should be it, kind of. Let's first go there and change the code. I'm not sure if we have like the command properly overwritten. So also one thing we could do is like we pre-fill all the fields, which would be kind of amazing. And we can I think we can just like extract those things. Yeah, that sounds good. Maybe for later. Oh. Do we have changed the... Oh, the color is already changed. So that should kind of work out of the box. Let's see. Okay. This works. The reflect command works. The front-end container from the pod now uses my reflected backend. Woo! It probably needs some fine-tuning to do all those things. But like, what would be nice if we just like we let you choose the context, like the kubeconfig context namespace workload, and then like you go to the next step, or you probably like you get like a pre-filled mask somehow, I don't know, like maybe below or in the next step or something, and like the pre-filled mask includes all these information, like the image, the command, the parts. And if you'd like to override it, you can do it, but you don't have to. So this would be kind of like a get information kind of method, which we just refactor. Into a util, and this util needs to be exposed then for the SDK for the Gefyra ext project. That sounds good. Wow, that's cool. That's the reflect action, which is kind of there, and I think it's really, really helpful for developers who are working with Docker Desktop or even VS Code. We're working on a VS Code extension as well. And if we have that, we can just like let you choose like a workload in your cluster, and everything is just set up for you. You probably just need to mount your code to it, but everything else is fine. And I kind of love that we are working with a local container here because we don't have any issues with the file syncing. So that should be good as well. Yeah, I think that should be it for today. Let's see what the others think. I will open a pull request. You can view it on GitHub. If you don't know us, we're Gefyra. Leave us a star. We're trying to like create a great developer experience when working with Kubernetes, because we think Kubernetes is really an awesome technology, and like you should build like most of professional cloud applications on top of it. And well, after some time, you have like a super advanced and vast landscape of microservices, and it's kind of hard to replicate those like on your local machine. And basically what we do is we allow you to connect your local containers to the cluster, or even connect the services from the cluster to your local containers, which give you a very close dev prod parity. So if you haven't heard about that, it's one of the 12 factors. The dev prod parity. Okay, this is now in German, but here's in English. It's considered to be like one of the best practices when developing applications. All right. Thank you very much. This is it for today, and see you next time.